Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Game Sharks. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Good, and joining me, as always, is my go-to co-host, Mr. Cory Lang. Cory, how are you?
Doing well, Jimmy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, thank you for having me. We're back, buddy. We're back. You are in your cool nerd lair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this room's changed a lot over the years. It was at one point. It was just an overall kind of hangout room at one point.
Yep.
Now it's my office. And so what you can't see is my desk, my computer, my monitors. Behind me is just a little guitar, some stuff on the walls, and I got an old CRT here for the old games that's relevant to a topic a little bit later. But yeah, nice to be here.
Yeah, I remember, I think my very first VR experience, maybe ever, was in that room. And I played, like, what was that, like, office game? Or
Job Simulator.
Job Simulator, thank you. And then there was the great white, like, shark diving simulator thing. And I remember doing that one and, like, trying to hug the shark because it would, like, try to get into the cage with you. I was like, I just want to give it a big hug. Yeah, that was good stuff. And you had to I remember moving things away from me because I was like, I'm gonna smash stuff. I was like, I need like 30 extra feet in every direction. But yeah, I love that room. It's such a great room. I'm like, yeah. And also, you're a proficient guitar player. I know this isn't video game related, but like, I'm just bragging about you because you're good. You're good. You are good. I like your stuff. You're good. I love it.
Too kind.
No, well, it's true.
You share a common fact with my 98-year-old grandma because this was the first time she played VR, was in this room. And yes. I believe she was like 95. So a little bit difference, but still.
No. It's just, it's however old we feel. I'm sure we've both felt the same age there thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lot. Either way, thank you everybody for joining us today. We love to talk about everything gaming, and we have a big topic today to talk about kind of dream games and dream game scenarios, as it were. But before we start, we're going to chum the waters a little bit with what we've been playing. Cory, you have been a busy little bee with some games recently. Let's talk about it. What have you been playing that you've enjoyed the most recently?
I finished Elden Ring. Well, that's the big one. Yep, I did it. I did the thing.
Well done. Great. Well done.
Thank you. Loved every minute. I think, if you're judging video games by like the beat for beat wow moments, like, when you're playing a game and you just go, wow, or wow, that looks amazing, or wow, that was really amazing. I think I said the word wow more times during Elden Ring than I think maybe any other game.
Oh, wow.
In recent memory, at least. That game's full of surprises, man. I think I clocked in around 110 hours. I think I was like level 148, something like that. Loved it. There's a not to spoil it, there's a string of bosses at the end. I think there's 3 in a row, right at that kind of last sequence that are very difficult. I may have summoned, no shame in that.
No, man, it's there. Use it.
Right. But I, loved it. I was ready to be done. I was ready to move on. With any game that takes that extended period of time to complete, like Breath of the Wild or an Elden Ring or a God of War, it's a great experience. I'm just kind of ready to move on. So I was happy to be done. I didn't start New Game Plus right away because I think if I do replay, I don't want to play with that character again.
Okay.
I think I'd restart as, is it Chancellor? Is that the mage class? Is it Chancellor?
Maybe it is.
Wrong. Anyways, whatever the sorcerer character is, that's what I'm going to do next.
Okay, cool.
I was a vagabond, so I'd like to switch gears, but loved it. Where are you at with the Elden Ring?
Cory, I've been playing it with friends, so I have like way more hours than you, and I'm a higher level than you, but like I still am not at the end of it. So we're like right at Melania.
Sure.
If that helps you at all.
You're in the tree.
The Hollig tree. That place is horrible. I want to beat it, and I think after we beat her, because there's like a certain number of these main big bosses you have to defeat to progress to the end game, but like you can go and defeat all of them, and that's kind of what we were doing. And yeah, so I'm kind of at that point where I feel bad like progressing without my friend, and be like, so yeah, and I feel like maybe I said that the last time on the show too, but Yeah, I want to beat it. It has been good, but I'm excited to be done with it. I will say this though, I talked to someone who did start New Game Plus, and unfortunately, the map just resets, so you don't have that. So just keep that in mind. Maybe take some pictures before you like reset that, just so you don't have to like rediscover the entire map, because that's a very large map. So keep that in mind. Yeah.
And that's precisely why I just started a new character, or going to start a new character, because I want to look back on that save file with that full map unlocked, all those bosses complete. Like, hey, look at my hard work. One of the problems with New Game Plus is it kind of wipes all that out, right? More
Yep.
or less.
Yep.
A lot of your progress goes away. That's cool. I understand the co-op thing. You're on a journey with your buddy, and you want to.
I know we're going to Mordor together.
Yeah.
I can't just stab Sam in the back. Or
Well, so
maybe
you're
he's
Frodo.
Frodo.
Oh,
Maybe
wait,
I don't know. I've been told I'm more of a Samwise. So I can't carry the ring, but I can carry him. I'm just kidding. He's
yeah. So you
actually
got
very
Brett.
powerful. You
Sam's
got the
got the
bread. Got the
yeah.
bread, dude. Yeah, dude. Who's our Gollum? I wonder if we do have a third that joins us from time to time. So I guess he'd be our Gollum. He is holding us back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's cool to hear. But yeah, it's a great game. It's so funny to think that like that is the biggest game of this year. And I really don't think, even if some of these other heavy hitters had come out this year, I still think people would have been like, oh yeah, Elden Ring, that was the game that like they'll still talk about at the end of the year, even though it came out earlier. So yeah. Okay, so besides Elden Ring, you're playing something else that I was interested to hear you talk about.
Yeah, I started Diablo Immortal on the iPhone, on the telephone. Oh, look. Oh, God, there's this.
Hero.
I accidentally put my flashlight on. Yeah, Diablo. Diablo Immortal.
Okay.
He's immortal.
Yeah.
The Diablo. And yeah, this game was announced a long time ago at probably a BlizzCon, I would assume.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
It was, and you have a phone to play it on, which is the only
Yeah.
thing you could ever play it on, remember?
Right, that's right. And now it's in PC in beta over the so we
Love
won't
it.
get into it. We don't, I wanted to get to the fun topics of the day. So
Yeah.
I'll keep it brief. Is very much Diablo. It seems to work really well. I was worried that they were gonna plague the screen real estate with like a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And they definitely do that, but they do it better than other games that I've seen in the past.
Okay.
And it seems to function very well. It's very much Diablo on your phone.
Sure.
It's exactly what you'd expect. So it's free to play. There is microtransactions. I think a lot of it's cosmetic. I don't know for sure. I'm only a couple hours in. It just came out yesterday. So at the time of this recording, it's Friday. It came out on a Thursday. I think I'm saying that right. Could have been Wednesday, but just came out this week. Diablo on your phone. Coming to PC and beta this weekend, and it seems pretty good.
Cool.
It seems what you'd expect. So that's about all I got. Looking forward to playing more. So if you got a phone, you can play Diablo.
There you go. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Diablo later because that's a franchise that I can't wait to play the fourth installment of. But briefly on my side, I tried Trek to Yomi, which is the black and white samurai game that's on Game Pass and stuff. It's like kind of, I don't want to say it's a side scroller. There's like kind of limited environments and like static camera shots, as it were. So I think it's supposed to be very cinematic in that way. I love that. I think that's really good. The combat is a little difficult to get used to. I'll admit it's a little tough and a little like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as snappy as I want it to be. And I'm coming from the last samurai game I played a while ago that still is so fondly remembered, but that's Ghost of Tsushima. And I know that's going to be two different things, but man, for me, that is just like the gold standard of samurai games. So like, unfortunately, all others will be like at least held to that katana mastery standard. I'll be like, is it? Like, I know it's not as complex, but still, but a cool game. I think I looked it up. It's like maybe 5 or 6 hours to like play through it completely and do a bunch of the side stuff. So it's not a super long game. It's not going to be anything like Elden Ring, for example, but Yeah, that's a cool one to check out if you have Game Pass and you just want to give it a shot and you're a samurai fan like yours truly. And also on Game Pass, I checked out the first level of Sniper Elite 5, which is like Sniper Elite 4, but a little bit better. The only problem I'm having, Corey, is that I beat everything in the first mission, and it took me like a long time to do, and it will not let me exfil. It won't let me finish the mission. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go and do that all over again.
Is it a bug? Is it like a bug or?
I think so, yeah, because I know where to go. I even looked it up, and I was like, this is the shed I'm supposed to go to. And I'm like, why wouldn't you let me go in the shed? So I don't know what I'm going to do with that one. But I played through Sniper Elite 4, and that game, like this game, you can play through full co-op. This one also has an invasion mechanic you can turn off or on, like Elden Ring again, where people can come in and try to, shoot you and whatnot. But yeah, it's a fun game if you like sneaking around. Pretty violent, so keep that in mind. But you're sneaking around shooting people, like the X-ray kills from Mortal Kombat, basically. That's kind of what they're known for. But yeah, it's a cool game. I just wish I could beat the first level without having to restart it.
That's such a bummer. Fortunately, we live in the golden age of the internet patch.
Yeah.
I'll never forget playing Metroid Other M on the Wii, and there was a game-breaking bug that wouldn't allow you to progress for some players. And what Nintendo did is they sent you a flash drive that you'd have to plug into your Wii.
Cool.
And it would alter your save files somehow. Something like that. I mean,
amazing.
Can you imagine?
Just a little flash drive that's got like a little Mario on there. And it says Nintendo, and you're like,
yeah, with an apology letter.
Yeah. Wait, did it come with an apology letter?
No.
Oh, that would have been great. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like handwritten. Just,
right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so sweet. Yeah. That's how you retain customers. Yeah. Right. So hopefully that'll get figured out, and maybe it's just me. I don't know. But and also I found too with a lot of Xbox games that I really love the ability to like restart from like the moment I stopped it. Like they have these kind of suspended save state things that you can do. But I found that does kind of throw off a couple of games. So I tried like completely restarting it or shutting the game down and starting back up. Still the same problem. But if you ever have that problem with Xbox fans, try those things first, because sometimes that makes it all right. So yeah.
Quick resume, right? Is a quick resume?
Quick resume, yes, I believe so, which is really amazing because it's like when I got back into Sniper Elite, I was going down some steps and I like stopped it, and then I like a few days later came back, and when I came back, I was like taking the next step. I was like, when I got back in, I was like, wow, because that was the thing they were promoting back with Rise Son of Rome when Xbox One came out, is that like a bunch of their games going forward are going to have this quick resume, and not all of them did, which makes sense, but now they're starting to get more and more of them just kind of being the default, which is for someone who used to like load up games and it took a long time, besides the N64, which was just blazingly fast. It was such a cool thing to have like that with modern games. Because I was like, why don't we have that with every game yet? Like, why can't with like Kratos? I'm like halfway through my axe swing and I stop it. And then I come back 2 days later and he's just finishing it. Like, that's what I want, baby. Watch, someone's got that on PC. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so there we go. A little chum in the waters. But today we're going to talk about something. And Cory, I think this is your idea. I love this too, because I've talked about this before on other shows, but it's kind of dream game scenarios. There's been a lot of gaming acquisitions that have gone on lately. So we're either going to talk about ones that could potentially happen, but also pie in the sky. If you can dream it, it can happen, because guess what? The gaming industry, that kind of stuff does happen, where once in a while they come up with something like Kingdom Hearts and you're like, okay, Disney and Final Fantasy. Didn't know that was going to be a thing. And yet, lo and behold, here we are with a fourth Kingdom Hearts on the way and about 1,000 spinoffs that they've already made. So anything can happen. So Cory, first dream game scenario or game that you have that you want to see come to fruition.
Yeah, so I got a couple small ones. I'll just rattle off one real quick and then we'll bounce back to you. And then I got one big one that I'll save for the end. But I'll just give you one for now. So one of my favorite games ever is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
The N64. And so I play through this game like once a year, whether it's the somewhat remake that they did on the 3DS or, the emulated version on the Switch, or I'll play it on the actual hardware, the N64 cartridge. And so I'm getting ready to do my annual playthrough because it's the game that I always say is my favorite ever, because I have such fond memories playing this game. Everybody has that one game. might not hold up super well in modern times. And I think this is a good example of a great game that doesn't hold up super well. And so I finished Elden Ring, and I'm like, I need a palate cleanser. And so I'm like, let's pick up Ocarina. Jimmy, I couldn't do it. I After playing Elden Ring, it has ruined so many games for me, and I'm actually a little concerned because the controls are just so bad. The camera control, the button layout. It's probably a little bit easier on the goofy controller that they launched with the 64, the famous three
Yeah,
prong.
I
You
love it.
know, I do
Yep.
too. But playing it on the Switch, I was like, you know what? They need to remake this game. They just need to.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude.
and I'll get into Nintendo's budget a little bit later with my other pie in the sky idea. But this is a simple one. I think it's one of their golden games, right? For lack of better words, it's one of their mega hits. It was one of the first sort of open world style, if not the first open world style 3D action adventure RPG.
Yeah.
It launched a whole wave of copycats and so forth. But it's a very important game. It's got amazing music, fantastic dungeons, and it's just a super charming, memorable, legendary game. No pun intended. And it's one of my favorites, and it needs a remake.
Yeah.
Uh, they need to throw some money at this game. I think it would be a mega hit. Whether
Mhm.
you launch it on Switch or save it for a future, um, a future console. They've been doing these sort of one-off remakes with Skyward Sword. They did one with Wind Waker in between the Breath of the Wild games, or
Sure.
whatever the big marquee Zelda game at the moment is. And I think a Ocarina of Time remake would be perfect, especially since they keep delaying the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Yeah.
You know, Nintendo has a handful of studios that would be capable of doing this.
Mhm.
You don't need Miyamoto up there designing this remake. Just throw some money at this. Hire somebody to do this, please, for the love of
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Uh, Fans have been begging for this probably since the GameCube, um,
Yeah.
if not the Wii. Um, Moral of the story: it's a fantastic game. It's one of my favorites. It's very difficult to play, especially post Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And I want to see Nintendo remake Ocarina of Time.
It's beautiful. Would it be heresy to put it in the same engine as Breath of the Wild or the art style and stuff? Would that work, or do you think they need to make it look and feel very similarly to the old
Yeah,
style?
if you look at what they did with the 3DS, I think they nailed a good blend. Hopefully I'll throw up some B-roll so people can
Sure.
have a visual to go. I prefer something more similar to what they launched with, maybe just smoother around the edges, maybe a little darker,
Sure.
um, less cell shaded, less kind of painted look like they did with Breath of the Wild and Skyward Sword.
Fair enough.
Um, More hard edges, a little darker. That's just me, but hey, whatever you got to do, man.
Yeah.
Just give me, I don't care if it's black and white, just give me a playable Ocarina of Time.
That game is a tie to you for me because you borrowed it to me, or I borrowed it from you. You lent it to me, and I streamed the whole thing. You can find it on YouTube. I think I'm pretty sure I put all of it on there. And I remember being so frustrated switching between my boots because you have to switch. And it sounds like madness what I'm saying right now, but there's certain dungeons and things where you have to have different boots on for different effects. And I remember thinking, like, man, he's got such a vast arsenal, and it is just so frustrating to go into my inventory and do this every it was some moment where I had to switch between them a lot, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is driving me insane. But yeah, I can see where people love it, and yeah, I'm really surprised they have it because that one seems like out of all of them, like the one that they would have. But it's like Super Mario 64. It's like they are just like they've done kind of remasters, but they've never been like, let's go back, let's just take it and just update it, in every way, like Resident Evil 2 or something, right?
So funny you mentioned that, and you're completely right. They're a stingy, stubborn, conservative, weird company. I love them. I
Yeah.
hate them. I'll never fully understand the choices they make. But you brought up Resident Evil, and that's a really great example. They just had the PlayStation, was it State of Play?
Yeah.
They're doing another Resident Evil remake. They're throwing money at these franchises, and the fans are loving it.
Yeah.
They did it with 2, they did it with 3, now they're doing it with 4. I'm super excited. I'm not going to go off on a tangent on Resident Evil, but Nintendo's got the resources. They just need to make it happen.
Yeah.
So that's my first pick, Jimmy, and I can't wait to hear what you have up your sleeve.
I love that, Corey, and we're not trying to one up each other because there's just no way to do it, because that one I think might have, out of anything we say today, is probably like the easiest. And like, I shouldn't say easiest, but like that
Safe.
one seems, it's well, not even safe. It's just like could be done.
Right.
Like could be done like tomorrow. Like the big end could just be like, you know what? We're doing it. And that's all. It just needs to be like one sentence. Like, we are remaking The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's it. No release date. People lose their minds. You know, they would pre-order immediately. That could be what it says on the box, you know. Or
just a clip of the actual ocarina playing a tune from the game.
Oh yeah. It just says remake. And like, you know, I'm even goosebumps thinking about it. And I wasn't even tied to that game, except for you. So like through the transitive property, I am invested. But okay, we talked about Diablo Immortal earlier. Diablo 4 coming out in 2023 now. I think they pushed it back. They said that, and Overwatch 2 were for sure coming in 2023. But I have for a long time held a hope and a desire now, especially that Blizzard is being acquired by Microsoft, for them to make a Diablo game from a third-person perspective. I've really wanted this. I don't know why, but I feel like I've liked the isometric view for so long, but it's so funny to me that like some of the limitations we've had in the past for these gaming franchises have dictated how they've stayed forever. Even though like Diablo 4 looks really great, Diablo 3 I played a lot of, looked really wonderful. I just want to see some of these demons like eye to eye. Like I want to see what these guys look like, because I usually rip them apart and I'm like, I have no idea what they look like, you know. And then I see like the concept art for them, like that looks so cool. I wish I could see it. Or some of the spells I do, I'm like, what does that look like from a ground up perspective? And I think like with the technology we have now, we could throw that many critters or demons at you and it could still run, because in the past we'd have those technical limitations where it'd be like, well, we could do that, Jimmy, but there'll be like 5 demons coming at you at any time. But like you look at something like Doom, they're throwing a lot at you in that game, and like kind of that style, maybe not as hectic, but like, man, I just think that would be so cool. And this would have to be M rated, because especially if you're like a barbarian and you're like trying to rip these things apart, like this has to be like an M rated game, which all the Diablo games I think have been so far. I don't know. Immortal should be 2, right? Is it M? Do you know?
Good question. I would assume so.
I would think so. Probably. Yeah. It's just like my little weird dream game that like, and it doesn't need to be like Diablo 5 needs to be this. I just think Diablo is a big enough franchise that you could do these spin-offs and still do your main line. It's like Resident Evil has kind of gone a different direction with like 7 and 8, but not, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a way to do it and still have your mainline ones for the old school fans. I just think that's a game that has an evolutionary idea versus an iterative idea in it. And that's what I want. So please, Phil, I know you're watching. Let's make it happen, baby. Come on. We could do it. We could do it. Yeah, am I crazy, Corey? Is that an insane idea?
No, it's a great idea. I'm fully on board. When you were talking about this, and I know you're not a big VR guy, but my brain immediately went to, I bet that's something they would do for like the launch of a new VR
sure.
headset, more immersive, in your face, Diablo style. My question is, your inspiration more coming from those Warhammer games?
Yes, dude. Yeah, Space Marine. That is like, if I had to really, that's a perfect way to distill it down, which they are making a sequel of now. Because like for so long, I was like, man, this game's amazing. And they're like, we'll never do a sequel. Now it's like they're making a sequel. So yeah, so anybody who's ever seen that game, I'm not going to be like, Corey, put the B-roll up. But those games, like, you are wading into battle against tons of enemies. And that game was like a 360 game. So I don't think it's too out of the realm of possibility. I know if you start adding like 2 or 3 other people as like co-op, yeah, that could be a technical limitation where you're having issues. But nowadays, I feel like that wouldn't be there as much. But yeah, I would love that. And man, Space Marine is such a great game. That's what I want to see. Like, we can do it. Like, maybe there's just not a big market for it. I don't know why they haven't done something like this, but I want that so badly.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I think like back to the point with Nintendo, I think Microsoft and well now Blizzard, Microsoft Active. It's weird. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so Microsoft did acquire Blizzard, right? Am I crazy?
they're working on it. Yes,
They're
it's taking
working.
a while. Yeah, Activision
Okay,
Blizzard is being acquired. It's just one of those things where
right,
like the government has to get involved and be like, is this a monopoly? Like,
right.
yeah,
Well, then there's so many of these major acquisitions lately that it's hard. It's hard to keep track of.
yeah, right.
Uh, but back to resources, I think that's something that Microsoft, if they're not, if that idea is not already like hit a conference room, it definitely should have.
I hope so.
Um, I love it, and I love
Yeah.
Diablo. That's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Cory, what's your next big multi-million dollar idea, billion-dollar idea, or just fun? It doesn't need to be that.
Well, there's going to be a trend here with all three of my ideas on this segment. They're all
Cool.
Nintendo related. And I don't know if that says more that I love Nintendo or if they're just really pissing me off. I think it's both.
I love it.
Uh, because I think it's a testament to how good of a job Microsoft is doing with their previous classics,
Sure.
and hopefully Sony with their new PlayStation Plus service. But I think on the Microsoft side, you fire up Game Pass, you fire up Gold. I think you can download the majority of those old OG Xbox games for the most part. I mean, I think no matter which way you look at it, you have access to the majority of their legacy titles.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, Nintendo, not so much. And
Mhm.
so my next short pie in the sky wish is that they really juice up their Nintendo Switch online service. You know, it's pathetic. It really is. I hate to say it. The games they're trickling out are fine, but
Mhm.
it's not what people want. If a 17-year-old hacker can upload every ROM of every NES and Super Nintendo game to the internet
Yeah.
and make those playable, I just don't understand why Nintendo can't do it on an official level and give the fans what they want. Um, I understand a lot of these games. There's licensing agreements, and yes, these things do cost money. But if you look at the Wii, if you look at the branded virtual console, I believe what it was called on the Wii, they had so many great old licensed games. The Switch has like maybe a third of the library that the Wii had. I just don't understand how those agreements work.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you fire up the Nintendo Online service on the Switch, you have maybe per platform maybe 20 to 30 first party titles. You have your mega hits, right? You have your
Mhm.
Marios, you have your Mario Karts, your Donkey Kongs. But there's such a vast library between the NES, the Super Nintendo, and the N64, and it's just not there.
Mhm.
So my second pie in the sky wish is that Nintendo really listens to the fans and pumps some money into that. Go out, make those deals, make it happen. I get it. I really do get it. They're probably crunching the numbers. They're probably thinking, nah, it's just not worth it. Um, but I think it would be a big win for that company. Every once in a while I'll go on comment threads. I try not to because the internet is a terrible place, as we know.
Yeah.
So I try not to read comments on threads, but there's definitely a demand,
Yeah.
particularly with the NES library because there's hundreds of incredible licensed games. Example, they just put out this big mega hit Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie on Disney Plus.
Mm.
There's two fantastic Chippendales Capcom games that were put out in the late 80s, and they're not on there. Why? You
Mm.
know, people are
Yeah.
paying $40. I mean, what is it? I mean, they cranked up the price because they added all those N64 and Genesis games.
Oh, sure.
Uh, Moral of the story, there's so many amazing old games missing from their service where companies like Microsoft and probably even Sony coming up here are doing a much better job.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing. Um, and that's my second pie in the sky is that they beef up that service with a back catalog that they could be proud of.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you. I'd heard rumors recently that they were thinking about doing some of like the Game Boy Advance games on there too, because that's something that I've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
Like Fire Emblem, when it came to the States, like that
Mhm.
first Fire Emblem game is one of my favorite games of all
Yeah.
time. And I keep thinking, if Nintendo puts it on there, is it going to be something that like most likely will be part of a package? It will not be like you can purchase this for $20. It'll be like you need to buy
Right.
the bundle thing, or like you have to buy the online
Yeah.
subscription, which makes me sad. But yeah, it does seem weird. And maybe a lot of it is licensing, but even still, a lot of those things should still be within Nintendo's purview, I think, to put up.
Yeah, and you mentioned the bundles. They are competing with publishers that want to release these multi-packs. Like, for example, there's a lot of great Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games that came out on the NES, Super Nintendo. Well, now they're releasing the Konami Cowabunga collection,
Sure.
and I understand that. And I totally get that. And that publisher can probably make more money doing that. But just fill in the gaps with other things that,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably not a good answer. Again, this is a pie in the sky thing. I just want to open up my Switch and I want to see every NES game
Yep.
ever made on that service, ready to go with save states and the rewind feature. I would take a week vacation just to dive into those games. So
Right. Yeah.
it'll never happen, but hey, that's why we're here for our pie in the sky.
Exactly. When the SNES Mini 2 comes out,
Yeah.
then you can get a few more. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Well, keeping in the vein of Nintendo, I want to talk about the N64's greatest racing game of all time. I think we all know what it is. All right, say it with me, everybody. Diddy Kong Racing. Okay, I know some of you are like, wait a sec, Jimmy, didn't you mean Mario Kart 64? No, I didn't. I specifically didn't. Diddy Kong Racing
Wow.
is so good. It's wonderful. Okay. And they never made a sequel. Now, I know that Rare is like Microsoft or whatever. So this is my new pie in the sky dream, Corey. Xbox doesn't really have a racing game. And Nintendo is still making DLC for Mario Kart 8, right? What if they did a little partnership and Diddy Kong Racing 2 comes back with a vengeance for both the Switch and the Xbox consoles? Would that be insanity? Sure. But guess what? Papa Phil, he's all about the crazy, baby. He put the P in Psycho. All right. We love you, Phil. So I want to see Diddy Kong Racing 2. I don't necessarily need like a fourth mode of transportation, because Diddy Kong Racing, you had a cart, a hovercraft, and an airplane. I don't need them to make like a Segway, even though would be hilarious if they had like something else like that, or like a hang glider. I don't know what they would do, but I really want Diddy Kong Racing 2. It had some of the most innovative levels, really cool, cozy vibe to it, and an actual campaign mode for a racing game where you could like drive in a little tiny open world. Sure, it didn't have a lot to do in it, but you could drive around it, and that was so cool. And no other racing game I played like that for like the Mario Karts ever had that sort of thing. It was just pick a level, pick a character, there you go. I just want Diddy Kong Racing 2, Corey, like so bad. And I feel like I'm one of the only people who's like a Diddy Kong Racing fan. Like, I know there are others out there, but like Mario Kart just buried it, just so far that people are like, eh. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Did you play some Diddy Kong Racing when we talked about this?
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I was always a Mario Kart guy. I didn't appreciate Diddy Kong Racing until later in life.
Yeah.
It was not a game that I owned back then, but I grew to love those games. You're right about Rare. It is kind of a weird relationship, but Microsoft and Nintendo seem to be best buds, as of late with the Smash Brothers. That's such a great thing. Yeah, you're right. Because they have Forza, but they don't really have like a kart racer.
Right.
I feel like PlayStation's gotten a little goofy with stuff like that in the past, with some of their goofier kind of kart titles. But yeah, no, it's totally right. It's a lost franchise that needs to make a comeback.
That's my dream. That's one of my dream games. Like, I just don't know. And I get like, maybe you could, or just make a DLC for Mario Kart. I don't really like, I know those games are just so popular, but it
Yeah.
feels like the other ones have just been left to the wayside. Anyway,
Yeah, because I think they did like a Crash racing game, like
Crash Team Racing.
Team Racing. Yeah.
CTR, that was their thing. That was like Sony's. Like people, if you meet Crash fans, you think a Diddy Kong fan is crazy. Like you meet a
Yeah.
Crash fan, like that is a different thing entirely. Those people are like CTR, dude. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay. Oh, okay. Anyway, Cory, what's your next dream scenario?
So Mike, so I got one big one.
Give me the big one. I'm sitting down.
So Elden Ring has just taken the world by storm. And so there was a game on Super Nintendo called Super Mario RPG. And did you play it?
I am aware of it. I've always wanted to play it. I don't know how to
Okay.
play it right now. Is it on Switch? Can I play it on Switch?
Yes, it is actually. Well, shoot, I wish I had my Switch nearby. I think so. I don't
Okay.
know. I will put something on the screen that will confirm or
I'm
deny.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. But it's a franchise that really hasn't made a comeback, and they've done like the Mario and Luigi games on like DS and 3DS that were sort of RPGs, and then of course they have the Paper Mario franchise. But something I've always wanted is, especially since Breath of the Wild, and even more so after playing Elden Ring, is a open world Mario game. They kind of alluded to with some experimental stuff with the 3D collection that they recently put out with Bowser's Fury, I believe it was called.
Okay.
Which was like a smaller open zone, I would say. So I give them credit for some experimental, but here's my dream Super Mario RPG game. I want a Super Mario game in the vein of Elden Ring. So hear me out. So there's a character select screen, or like a game like Elden Ring, you'd be picking your classes, you'd be picking your race. This is where you would pick Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peach, Bowser, or no, probably not Bowser. Bowser would probably be a villain, but like the Donkey Kongs, right? So you got this open world Mario RPG game in the vein of Elden Ring, and you have a character select screen. Let's give some examples. Mario could do his classic punch and kick and his hop and his jump, maybe some projectile weapons. Peach could have like her umbrella to float around the world. Luigi could have his ghost busting gun from Luigi's Mansion. And so you got this open world game, and you have different zones, and the pipes could serve as the bonfires or the graces. And that's how you would fast travel, right? And there would be random bosses hopping through the world. You'd have the water world area. You'd have the fire temple area. You'd have the green kind of, sunny, happy area. And there would be random bosses. There would be storylines. There would be quests. And Jimmy, what I want, just to boil it down, I want a massive Super Mario RPG game in the vein of Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild. And sorry if my monitor keeps shaking here. I keep bumping the table. I'm so excited. I'm just that excited.
Yeah, right.
And they have the resources and the money to do it. And with the success of Elden Ring, what the heck? Why not? They're doing their kind of XCOM style game with Ubisoft. And Nintendo's very stingy with like the certain amount of Mario games that are out at any given time. So it's a huge pie in the sky game. But I personally think it's a great idea. It's a game that I would want to play. In terms of like mounts and navigating the world, you could figure that out with, I don't know, what would you pick? How would you want to get around a world like that? Let's open the conversation. What do you think so far?
It's been so hard not to interject because this sounds like an incredible idea and I love it so much. And the warp pipes for traveling, it just, oh my gosh, I can already see it. I can already see like the scary, spooky zone that like you can go into. I want, like, can we make someone else the villain? Because I want to pick Bowser as my starting character. Like, I want to run around the world as Bowser. But like traversal, got some Mario Karts. You could do some of that stuff. You could do whatever you wanted. Also, can I add in the Breath of the Wild climbing mechanic? Because I love or whatever. They can all climb in
Absolutely.
different ways. I miss that in Elden Ring. Like I was like, oh, I want this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, this is incredible. This is so cool. I'm just picturing, like, I can see the Mario mod in my head for Elden Ring that someone's already done. You know,
Yeah.
like someone who just looks like a tall Mario, very scary looking. But no, man, that is brilliant,
And I think,
brilliant.
well, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I think it would be a game that I would want to play. But I think I know the character that you would choose from your character select screen.
Wait, he
I
knows.
think you would choose this guy.
It would be game over for everybody. I love you, Kirby. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, Kirby. And then like you're just like you beat up somebody and then you just take their powers. Oh my gosh.
Or you have Sakurai who directs all the Smash Brothers games, and he's been out publicly saying, "I'm so burnt out on making Smash Brothers games. We'll inject all that crazy character stuff into an Elden Ring style game. Get your Mega Mans, get your pin, get your Solid Snakes, whatever you want. Get these guys here. You could have Donkey Kong running around. You could have your Mega Man.
Yes.
Um, I want a Super Mario RPG in the vein of Elden Ring, and that's what I want.
Yes. Yes. 1,000% yes. I totally see it. You know what they could do, Corey? You do your base game, right? And then your DLC is, well, another world kind of infected it, and it's the Mega Man section of the map, and Mega Man is now a playable character. But you can still play through it with Bowser or whatever, or Donkey Kong. So that way you start injecting things where it's not like, so it's like if you just want the base Mario, it's all Mario, it's all tied together, it's all the stuff, just, Koopas and Goombas and all that stuff. Great. But if you want more, you know, man, that is Sakurai getting involved would be, he'd be like, I looked at everything they were doing at From Software and thought, how could we make it better? Like, like that's the type of guy he is. He'd be like, we're going to really make this like, that is brilliant. I love it. I would be there day and date.
Well, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the difficulty, obviously, they'd have to be toned down for a game, but, they could figure it out. And presumably they already have deals with some of those third-party license with the Smash Brothers stuff. So, that's just what I want. I want an open world style game in the vein of Super Mario World. So,
well, you've made a believer out of me, Corey. You have another dreamer on your side. If I ever run into a Nintendo executive, I'll be like, all right, here's the deal. Here's what you do. It's going to be easy. Come on, guy. I can see it too. Like, and that's a gorgeous open world, right? Like it's so, colorful and whimsical, but man, totally doable. And just make a slider or make and I know it's like maybe reductive to say like there should be an easy, normal, and hard mode, but like make that where it's just at the very least like damage, like on easy, I do double damage and take half damage or something. Like it can be done. It can be done. My gosh, dude. Such a good idea, dude. Oh my gosh. Okay. My last question about this before we move on. Are there weapons that like everybody can use, or is it like Mario and Luigi the only ones who have hammers? Do you know what I mean?
I think again, to answer your question, like to go back to Elden Ring, is you're in Elden Ring, you're constantly picking up things that don't suit your character or class.
Yeah.
I think that's where you sell that stuff off to a vendor at the Warp Pipe and buy some cosmetics that you want, or buy something that would suit your character. I know there's a lot of people that complain about that stuff with Elden Ring, like, oh, I went through a dungeon and I put in all this work and I got an item that doesn't work for me.
Yep.
Sure, I get it. You could still apply that to Mario. I don't know. It's a great question. I guess I'd have to think on that for a while.
What if they made it specific, and if you picked Donkey Kong at the beginning of the game, it just populated the game world with Donkey Kong specific items, but like there would be co-op. So like if we did it together, like we'd open a chest and there'd be the Donkey Kong item for me and the Mario item for you. Be like, oh, there you go. Something like that. Because I have had that a few times in Elden Ring where I pick up a thing, I'm like, great, this is worthless. Like, and then I try to sell it for like next to nothing. And I'm like, cool. I just have a weapon somewhere on my person. Like, it's like, it's realistic. It's like, not really. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, there could be a starting weapon like in Mario Odyssey, Mario has Cappy the hat.
Yeah.
that serves as a platforming device. It also serves as a weapon. Like, you know, it start with the base idea, Jimmy, and then everything else from there is you're good to go. So
picturing Bowser with like a gigantic, like black and purple on fire great sword, and he's just swinging it around. Oh my god.
Beautiful.
I love this idea. There's so many ways it could go, but it's like such a beautiful a spark of an idea that could just how is this not like this has to be a thing. This has to be a thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like it's a no-brainer. It'd be their best-selling title probably ever. You know, honestly, you know, I know for a fact I'm not the only one that has presented this idea to the heads of Nintendo. It's just a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, totally. That's it kind of also gives me like the vibes a little bit of that Immortals Phoenix Rising game, maybe like that kind of colorful art, at least the colorful art style of it.
For sure.
Oh man, that's brilliant. That is so, man, I love that idea so much. I want to play through Super Mario RPG. I really do, because I played through the Paper Mario, a little bit of that stuff, and I was like, this is fine. I wasn't as big a fan of the whole paper aspect, which I know sounds weird, but yeah, I like that idea. And I also love the idea of Bowser being on your team, because you have to fight like an evil sword. It's like, I just like playing as the bad guys, Corey, who like have to be good for a little bit of time.
Yeah. You know? Bowser should definitely be a playable character. They can throw in dragons. They can create a new villain. They can figure it out.
Yeah. And then like you could have like, it could be straight up Ghost of Tsushima level where like you find the people you didn't pick. And it's like you can bond with Luigi and go on special missions with Luigi. Like NPCs I care about versus people who just muttering just nonsense. Like I'd be like, I want to help Peach, you know, or I want to help Toad with this thing, but I know I'm Bowser, but they're like, and the dialogue could be different, like for each one of them, because they don't really speak. So you could write whatever you wanted.
Exactly.
That is the best idea I've heard like in a long time, man. That is, it's frustrating that it isn't already a thing. That's why they push everything back. They're like, all right, I got to push Breath of the Wild 2 back because like we're doing this crazy thing.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Great idea.
I want to hear what you got.
Okay, I should have gone first. This is one I've been talking about for a long time, and I looked it up again today, but there's a little group called Creative Assembly that made a game called Alien Isolation. My brilliant idea is just to slap Jurassic Park on there. It's really simple. As someone who loves dinosaurs, I feel like one thing we've been missing in a lot of video games for a long time is the fear of them and the kind of claustrophobic horror that you could do with velociraptors. And it's not going to be the exact same one-to-one like the xenomorph hunting you down, but I think there's a really cool like concept and game in there that is not too far out of the realm of possibility for people who did that for Alien already. I'm like, yeah, this could totally work, right? Like this is easy. We talked about this before, but I feel like it hasn't been done and I have to keep bringing it up. I'm like, come on, guys, even I'd play that game. So yeah, man, where is Jurassic Park Isolation?
As soon as you said Alien Isolation, Jurassic Park, those phrasings put together, dude, that's amazing. I think like what the last couple Jurassic Park games were like top down like theme park building games.
Yeah, Evolution. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they had a Lego game in there, which is all fine and dandy, but dude, you're totally right. That is a brilliant idea. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
So would it still be? So the corridor stuff would be more like Velociraptors, and then you'd have like more open level stuff with like the T-Rex and stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I think if you really wanted to like populate it more, so you could still do more dinosaurs and just have like certain areas where it's like, okay, you're in the aviary and the Pteranodons are coming after you or something like that. I think it would also be very hilarious, and I don't think they'd do it, but they had like the working Joe androids who would fight you in Alien Isolation. What if it was just like really angry evil scientists who are like coming at you with a scalpel? They're like, you'll never stop my rearch, and you're like, like, you know.
That's great.
See, you could do it.
Great idea. So is this in your mind, are you navigating with someone like over a walkie-talkie?
Yes, I think you could do it a little Firewatch-esque, and
Okay.
maybe you're going into kind of, I don't know if you, maybe this could be like a sabotage type of thing where like you're going in as a spy to like kind of break it all down, and like you're like, cool, I released one of the dinosaurs, and you're like, oh wait, I'm in the same place as dinosaurs, and like it's killing the scientists, but you're like hiding in like a locker, and you're like, this is going perfectly, it's going, and Jeff Goldblum's on, he's like, you got to get out of there. Like but no, I think you could definitely do that because you need to have some sort of back and forth with somebody who's like your handler or whatnot, telling you what to do, like ex-employee who's like, yeah, if you go over here you can do this, or maybe you are a spy for one of those other companies and you're trying to get the DNA samples and it just
Ooh.
goes really poorly, like you're kind of Nedry but like maybe smarter, and you have an exfil that's better than just like driving around in the dark in the rain and all that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways you could play it, but
Yeah.
I have that picture in my head where it's like you're in the locker, instead of alien or xenomorph going past you, it's the
Yeah.
velociraptor. Like, and and the T-Rex segments, you could do the whole like you have to stop moving and it just like comes right up to you and you're like don't move. Like
So we're talking a first-person
yeah,
survival horror game set in a
gotta
Jurassic
be.
Park universe.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Did you ever play those games on PC? Those amnesia games where there's like no combat, but you're like stealthing through environments and hiding.
I am aware of them, and also the other one where you have like a camera and you're like going to an insane asylum.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
was it?
talking about?
No, Condemned had combat.
No. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yes, I do.
I played a little bit of that one. That was terrifying. I can't remember the
Yeah,
name. That's how scary it was.
yeah, dude, this is a great idea. I feel like you
Yeah.
and I should quit our jobs and be pitchmen for video game
Yeah.
publishing.
Totally.
I,
Exactly.
I'm not kidding. I think I'm not. Look, I'm not saying that we're the first ones to come up with these ideas, but this is the first time I've heard these brilliant ideas.
Right?
Uh, I love the idea of brainstorming. You know what? These are games that I would want to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would love to play a first-person survival horror Jurassic Park game. It's kind of shocking that that doesn't um, exist. They had like Dino Crisis back on like the PS1 era.
Yeah.
Was that had combat, and that was more of like a third-person dinosaur game, correct?
Yes, I
Kind of
believe
like
so.
old Silent Hill kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, by the way, I know there's like a bunch of Capcom fans out there who are like, why have we not gotten Dino Crisis yet or whatever? And I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. That's a Capcom game, right?
I think so. I never played Dino Crisis.
Okay.
Um, I know there was a Jurassic Park game that was like a 16-bit. I think it was on like Genesis, maybe Sega Saturn, Super Nintendo, but that was like a traditional 2D platforming game.
Sure.
I think you played as Sam Neill. Is it Sam Neill?
Yeah. Alan
Sam.
Grant.
Yeah, I think you play as
Yeah.
his character. But man, no, that is a brilliant idea. I would
Sure.
I would play that game.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. If
Yeah,
Creative Assembly, if they don't want to do it, whoever did it's Outlast. I figured it out. That's the game, the one where you have like the camera and stuff.
right.
Those guys they did a great job too. So I don't care who does it, just do it. And
Yeah,
I'm not a big horror fan, but that would be excellent. It would be
yeah.
excellent. That's one of my other ideas. Okay, so Corey, we got through your big one. Like, did you have any more? Because I've got like a few just quick ones to rattle off here at the end. If you don't have any others, do you have another one?
Nope. The only one that I had is actually being made, and that was a third-person action adventure Indiana Jones game. And I can't wait to see what Machine Games and Bethesda are doing with that game.
Dude.
Um, yeah.
Yes, I'm excited for that one. For some reason, I think about that now in the same vein as that like Contraband game that like the Just Cause people are making, and I haven't seen anything from Contraband, but like that
Right.
name alone, I was like, yeah, like I like adventure games, like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, we haven't had an indie game for a long time, like a
Right.
long time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I remember when they announced that. Didn't they just show like? They didn't really show much. They showed just like a JPEG or something, and they're like, "Here it is." It's like
Yeah. It could have been like an animated trailer. I don't
maybe.
remember. Very short teaser thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure, yeah, like panning over a table of stuff. Okay, cool.
Right. Right.
I have two quick ones here at the end that I just want to bring up for my Kenobi fans out there. They know the real reason we're watching the show, not only for Ewan McGregor's wonderful performance, but it's for the big boy himself, Darth Vader. Now, Darth Vader's been in a whole slew of games before, and the closest we've ever gotten to a Darth Vader beat 'em up, or I should say slash 'em up, was the very beginning of The Force Unleashed back in the day. It's the demo level. It is one of the greatest demos, or the tutorial levels, I should say, of all time. They still have never given him, to my understanding, his own full game. And I feel like he is the perfect character for a full title by himself. I know he's the villain, but man, like imagine a Jedi Purge video game where you were Darth Vader and you were upgrading your suit. That's what I'm thinking. It's like, oh, like you want more stamina, and you're like, oh, you can buy this little thing, and it like puts a little thing on your suit. You're like, eventually you get to like the premier regular like Vader, or maybe some tweaks here and there. I just
Like
feel like a Darth Vader game.
Vader
Yeah,
with the meters on the back.
And like his health, yeah, you just see it. It's like going down, but it like goes all the way down to the end of his cape eventually. And you're like, wow. And like, it's just little red bars. And he's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. But yeah, I just feel like a Vader game, like I still haven't gotten it. And the closest you can get nowadays is like playing him in like Battlefront 2 or something like that. And man, after, not to spoil anything, but for anyone who is excited about Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order Survivor or whatever, yep. I hope there's more Vader. Yeah, I really want to play a game that's focused on one of the greatest Force users and villains of all time. Anti-hero, kind of, I don't know. It depends on how you feel about him. But then the other one I want to talk about, and I know the people who could do it, Corey. I know the people. There's two people, but mostly one. Those crazy people who never sleep. They're called Insomniacs, and they're just making all the games. They were doing Ratchet and Clank. They're still doing that. It's Spider-Man, Wolverine's coming up. You know what? There's a side boss named Tombstone in Spider-Man, and he's got these chains which he doesn't normally have, but he sets them on fire at one point. Corey, you know what that makes me think of? Makes me think of my boy Ghost Rider, and that he deserves his own video game. And I think Insomniac would be those folks. They need to do these one-offs. Do Wolverine, put him aside, do a Ghost Rider video game. Just like he has the traversal mechanic built in. Like, you know what I mean? Like the motorcycle, it's all there. It's so easy. This is like Insomniac should just like go around and quietly make all of these and then put together like a game where we can play them like a Marvel Avengers style game. Be like, this is like the crazy mechanics of Spider-Man, but it's all of Spider-Man alongside Wolverine and Ghost Rider. I just want a Ghost Rider game because there hasn't been one, or hasn't been like a big one where he hasn't been part of a big group for a long time.
Maybe Marvel Ultimate Alliance is probably the closest thing I can think of.
Yeah, Ultimate Alliance 3. I know he pops up late in the game, literally, and it's fine. He's cool. I can't, like, I wanted him in Marvel's Avengers. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I really want that game because I think you could go in a lot of different directions. You could do the city stuff, but you could also do the weird, like, kind of magical spell stuff and have him go, fight Mephisto or whatever it might be. But I feel like that's some untrodden ground. And man, I can see it. It's like you're working with Doctor Strange. Like, I know that they're going to both be in this like Midnight Suns game, the Firaxis game, even though that's not Johnny Blaze. I want everyone to remember that's like the Robbie Reyes. I want original recipe. Like, I like the Charger or whatever that Robbie drives, but there's something about that motorcycle with the big ape handlebars. Anyway, Corey, I could go on and on about this. I probably shouldn't. Otherwise, QC is going to be taken over by a 3-hour-long Game Sharks, and we have to like limit ourselves to 1 hour, right? It's okay. It's fine. But Corey, these are so great. If I can make any of these though happen like today, it would be your idea for that Super Mario World RPG game. That's brilliant, man. That is so good. I'm kind of frustrated I didn't think of it. That's amazing. I hope it happens, man. I really do.
Me too. Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. Thank you. Yeah, I think the Jurassic Park game sounds incredible. I would love to play that. And Ghost Rider's a great character. He deserves better.
Yeah. And
I think Insomniac would be the studio to do that. Yeah, I want an open world Mario game. That's just something they should do. And I wish Nintendo would, pay more respect to their old games.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I love them and I hate them, and that's just coming from a place of I just want them to do well.
Yeah, right.
No, they're doing fine. I just meant, anyway.
Do better. No.
Yeah. So, Yeah, man. I love these segments, so we'll have to do it again.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here and chatting with me. And also thank you everybody at home for watching. Really appreciate it. Please let us know what you're thinking of the show. And until next time, dear viewer, take care. Bye-bye.